Bonsoir tout le monde, merci pour l'invitation. Good evening everyone, thank you for the invitation. I want to start by acknowledging the elected officials here on stage and in the room tonight, as well as the business owners, residents, and families. What you've described in your stories, your surveys, and lived experiences that I've gotten secondhand from Tiffany, open drug use, harassment, vandalism, is not only real, but detrimental and also unacceptable. I want to recognize the courage it takes to come forward and demand change. These are not easy issues to speak about, but they're pressing and personal for everyone in this room. The very fact that you showed up tonight in such large numbers speaks volumes. Apathy would be the real danger. Your presence proves that you care deeply enough to demand change and to move things forward for the better. So thank you for that. Thank you to Downtown Newcastle team. Thank you to Tiffany for this event. I'm speaking tonight as the Executive Director of Downtown Moncton Centre-Ville Inc., but more importantly as the President of Downtown New Brunswick, which is the provincial association representing the 23 downtown business associations across New Brunswick. Associations like my own, Downtown Moncton Centre-Ville, and your Downtown Newcastle Business District are organizations that have front row seats to the challenges we're currently faced with on our downtown streets. Business Improvement Associations, or BIAs for short, across New Brunswick, Canada, and the world exist to support and advocate for the small businesses. These small businesses form the backbone of our community. Our job is to flag these issues that are hurting businesses, from criminality to social challenges, and in our public spaces. And this is to amplify the voices of the entrepreneurs who too often feel unheard. But it's important to be clear, BIAs are not the owners of the solutions. We don't control policing, healthcare, addiction treatment, housing policy, justice reform. Those levers sit with government. What we can do, and what we are actively doing, is bringing the evidence, amplifying the business voices, and demand collaboration. Governments must partner with BIAs if we are to see meaningful change. Small businesses are economic and cultural backbone of our downtowns. These are family-run restaurants, cafes, barbershops, retail stores, independent grocery stores, art galleries. These are businesses that bring identity and character to a community. When downtowns are unsafe, these small businesses take the hit first. Customers stop coming in, even for small purchases. Staff are hesitant to work evenings or closing shifts. Owners absorb costs from theft, broken windows, graffiti, or having to pay for extra private security. I'll give you an example from Moncton. One small business owner shared with me recently that he spends more each year cleaning up vandalism and replacing broken locks than he does on marketing his own business. That's not sustainable. These businesses are not asking for special treatment, they're asking for basic conditions to succeed. Safety, stability, predictability. What's happening in Newcastle is part of a wider pattern across New Brunswick. Downtowns are seeing the same cycle. Public spaces are taken over by visible drug use. Repeated vandalism or fires are damaging our buildings. Aggressive behavior driving our customers away. In Fredericton, they have Queen Square. In St. John, they have King Square. In downtown Newcastle, you have the Queen Elizabeth Park. Every downtown has its focal point. And when those spaces are unsafe, it creates a ripple effect on how the entire city is perceived. Businesses across the province are telling us that they see the same thing. They don't feel supported. They don't feel that enough is being done at any level of government to restore safety and confidence. And let's be clear, this is not a Newcastle issue, it's not a Moncton issue, not even a New Brunswick issue, but a national issue. So to move beyond anecdotes, Downtown Moncton Centre-Ville Inc., Downtown Fredericton Inc., and Uptown St. John are three large BIAs and are three major urban centers in New Brunswick that have seemed to be dealing with these social issues for a better part of the last decade. We got together in collaboration with Downtown New Brunswick and commissioned an independent community safety in downtown areas report earlier this year. The report combined crime data, business surveys, and economic modeling, and the findings are stark. 86% of businesses, I'll say it again, 86% of businesses of downtown business, reported being targeted of theft, vandalism, or property damage. 83% said that their employees had faced harassment, assault, or other safety incidents while simply working or commuting downtown. 31% adjusted their business hours because of safety concerns, and nearly a quarter lost employees altogether due to safety issues. 40% observed a significant decrease in customer foot traffic, and 42% reported revenue declines tied directly to safety concerns. The economic modeling showed that even small-scale losses all add up. A 1 hour reduction in businesses' hours across a third of downtown businesses would equate to $25 million in lost GDP annually in New Brunswick. Just 4 downtown business closures, example, 2 retailers, 2 restaurants, would mean nearly $2.8 million in lost GDP, plus dozens of lost jobs. The conclusion is clear. Crime and safety concerns are not just social issues, but they're economic issues that affect the prosperity of our entire province. The core problem, and one of the biggest frustrations I've heard, is not about the problem to solve, but about the lack of coordinated action to solve it. We see it consistently. Municipalities say their hands are tied without provincial resources. Provinces point to federal funding gaps, and the federal programs exist, but the money takes months, sometimes years to reach the ground. Meanwhile, police officers, outreach workers, and business owners are left dealing with the crisis on a daily basis. It becomes a cycle of finger pointing. Not our jurisdiction, not our responsibility, waiting on another department. But for businesses and families, there's no waiting. They live these consequences every single day. And I want to say this clearly to the people in the room. The people in this room are not wrong to be angry, or to feel abandoned. The anger comes from watching leaders argue over processes while communities bear the cost. What's needed is not more debate, but alignment and urgency. That means all levels of government and community organizations sitting at the same table, setting clear priorities and being accountable. In my humble opinion, collaboration must include these 3 pillars, all working at the same time. Immediate safety interventions, visible policing, consistent bylaw enforcement, rapid cleanup of unsafe conditions like needles, blood, and waste. People need to see action now. Medium-term responses, things like specialized community teams combining police, mental health workers, outreach staff to respond in crisis in real time. Moncton has piloted some of this, but the programs need expansion. And finally, long-term investments in addictions treatment, mental health support, transitional and supportive housing, and prevention programs that stop the cycle before it starts. Too often we see governments choose one of these approach in isolation. But enforcement without supports just moves the problem. Supports without enforcement leaves businesses and families exposed. It has to be both at the same time. In Moncton, we've seen the impact of inaction. Businesses closing, events relocating, residents avoiding the downtown core altogether. This cost us not just dollars, but our sense of pride in the downtown and in the city. We've also seen that piecemeal action, like short-term blitz of police patrols or one-time funding announcement, does not solve the problem. The problem simply shifts location or comes back as soon as the resources leave. What has worked in other places, mostly outside New Brunswick, are models where business associations, municipalities, police, health services, community organizations plan together and report on progress together. Resources are sustained, not just for 6-month pilots then disappear. And the communication with the public is consistent, so residents and businesses see what is being done and how it's being worked on. I would like to add that downtowns are a mirror to your city. What happens in the core is a microcosm of the larger community. If it's happening downtown, it will eventually spill over into other neighborhoods. In Moncton, one major success has been our environment team, a group made up largely of individuals who once experienced homelessness, and who now work to clean, maintain, and beautify our downtown. But even as we celebrate that progress, we're seeing the challenges now move beyond the downtown and into the north and west ends of Moncton, into Riverview and DM as well. That's because we haven't tackled the root causes yet. Until we do, we'll just keep pushing the problem around instead of solving it. In closing, I think it's been said a few times, but tonight can't just be about venting frustration, but it has to be building momentum towards solutions. Businesses want safe streets, families want dignity in their public spaces, and individuals struggling with addiction deserve care and a chance at recovery. These goals are not in conflict. They can be and must be pursued together. My commitment as president of Downtown New Brunswick is to continue supporting DIAs all over New Brunswick, including downtown Newcastle, by pressing provincial and federal leaders for the collaboration that has been missing for far too long, and to bring the voice of small business into every one of those conversations. Let's leave tonight with not just stories of frustration, but with a shared demand that leaders at every level stop pointing fingers and start working together. Because your heart of the community is your downtown. And when downtowns are safe, thriving, and welcoming, the whole city benefits. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. We'll now hear from Tiffany Gallivan, the president of the Downtown Newcastle Business District Association.